It's 2026, it's January, it's raining, and there are people out there running around trying to keep fit, sticking to their New Year's resolutions. But if you're a man in your 40s, you might be thinking to yourself, what's the point? Maybe you feel like your best years are behind you and that you'd rather just spend the rest of the time gorging, getting a bit fatter and staying unfitter as each year progresses. Well, I'm here to tell you that I think you're wrong about that. That in fact your best years are still ahead of you, and this channel is devoted entirely to how I'm going to show it. So if you think this is something that you might be interested in, then stick around. Hello everybody, my name is Simon Price. This is Mengevity, a channel for middle-aged men who want to look and feel better about themselves. I'm shooting this very much from the hip. It's unscripted, and although I've gone over this talk, I suppose, a million times in my head, I'm sure that I will stumble over my words and forget what I wanted to say, so please bear with me. But I wanted to make this a relevant and real video as I possibly could, because Mengevity and the community of people that I want to build up within this umbrella is something that I find very, very important. I am a man in my early 50s, and there are things now that are starting to weigh on me a little bit more than, say, they did when I was in my 20s and 30s. And chief among them are keeping fit, longevity, and maintaining a good, clean outward appearance, skincare and grooming. Now, whenever you start a new channel, all the gurus tell you that you need to really niche down and talk about one specific topic. And when I first started this channel, exactly this time last year, I thought I was just going to talk about skincare for men. But I got pretty bored of that, and there's reasons behind that which I can go into in another video. I've decided that if I'm going to make Mengevity really count, that I need to talk about the things that are important to me as a middle-aged man. And I've broken it down into 3 pillars, which I mentioned earlier. And so my channel might be a little bit broad. It might be really screwing with the algorithm, but you know what? I don't care, because this is a passion project of mine and I've been wanting to get it out for a couple of years. Now, the reason why I want to talk to you and maybe try to get you in to follow me and to listen to what I have to say is because I'm now a man firmly in my middle age. Whether I like it or not, I'm 51 years old, and there are certain things that I need to improve in my life if I want to try and get more and more out of less and less. And that's basically where we often find ourselves. If you're middle-aged, you will probably realize that you've got less time in front of you than you've already had behind you. But I think it's important then that you make sure that you remain as relevant, as fit and as strong and as healthy as you possibly can be for the rest of your life. But I want to do this channel because I think there is a general malaise with maleness all over the world, especially in Western culture. Men have come in for a bit of a kicking, and whilst certain catchphrases and hashtags like toxic masculinity and Me Too are not things that I want to casually dismiss, because of course they are important, there are elements to being a male that have come in for serious knocking of late that I would like to address on this channel and maybe give people reason to pause and reflect on what they might be thinking about us. Men are offing themselves in record numbers, especially men in middle age. Suicide rates are alarmingly on the up, and I don't like this. I think something needs to be done about it. Men are now starting to develop certain conditions and diseases that are killing them at younger ages than ever before as well. We're talking cancers on the rise, early onset heart disease, and other metabolic conditions like diabetes, which can have long and lasting and painful effects on a man for the rest of his life. And a lot of this is to do with the fact that we're not looking after ourselves, that our diet in the Western culture is generally pretty crap. But on top of that, we have our own issues to deal with. Women in middle age go through something called the menopause, and I suppose, unless we've all been living under a rock, we are aware of that. I can testify firsthand, in fact, because my partner at the moment is going through perimenopause, and I think it's my duty as her partner to listen and be receptive and as supportive as I possibly can as she's going through these changes. But I do feel that there is a kind of like exclusive club with this, that sometimes the doors are closed to us because we're men, and all we're left doing is pawing up against the glass, peering in, trying our best to understand a phenomena that many women just want to talk about amongst themselves. And I think what gets overlooked is the fact that men have their own problems in middle age as well. We have our own hormonal changes that we have to deal with that are pretty unique to us. Lowering testosterone is mainly the main culprit, and that brings with it a whole raft of problems that men suffer from. They start to feel less attractive, they might start putting on weight, they might start losing muscle, and generally feeling that they're becoming irrelevant in a world that's moving too quick for them to keep up. The golden elixir for most of this, of course, is eating well and exercising, and I don't think that I'm going to be breaking any new ground when I talk about those things. But I do think there's an aspect to mental health that has to be acknowledged with low testosterone as well. And rather than joking about men's midlife crisis, as it's commonly referred to, I think it's time that we brush things down a little bit and take things a little bit more seriously about what's going on there. And I say this because I am a man in his early 50s who has experienced this firsthand. A couple of years ago, I was suffering from really debilitating anxiety attacks, absolutely horrendous, driving to go shopping, and all of a sudden I had to stop and park the car because I couldn't breathe and I was crying uncontrollably, acting very much out of character. And I was in my late 40s when these things started kicking in. And also in my late 40s and early 50s, I've become a lot more reflective. I tend to stop and think about my actions a lot more than rather than being massively impulsive, which I was when I was a teenager and a young man in my 20s. And with that said, I'd like this channel also to be an opportunity for me and for other men that I hope to interview to talk about the life lessons that they've learned, looking back and discussing and comparing what it's like to be a man in midlife and beyond in comparison to how it was when you were in your 20s. So if the algorithm has pushed this video in front of you and you are a younger man, then please don't switch off. You're very much welcome here as well, because this channel is for you too. I kept a diary a lot in the 90s and in the early 2000s, and it's fascinating to read back through them because I'm a very, very different individual reading the pages now than I was as the individual who had the pen in hand writing the entries at the time. And I'd like to share some of the wins and some of the losses that are in those diaries with you to maybe help you to understand what you might be in for and what you could possibly do better, because ultimately Mengevity is going to be a two-way street. I want to share with you things that I've learned along the ways, but I'm also very keen to get better myself. I want to get fitter, I want to get stronger, I want to get more flexible, I want to be more positive as an individual too. And I think I owe it to my partner and to the world in general to do that. And I'm going to document this and hold myself accountable with this vlog. And so hopefully you might think it's something that you'd like to try and do as well, and it might inspire you to maybe copy some of the things that I'm doing and try it out for yourself as well. Because I think men are at a crisis point. I think too many men are deciding that the best way to do this is just to forget about it, just to let the apathy set in, just let middle age and then old age take them too quickly. Let these diseases grab hold of them, let these conditions, the loss of muscle, the lack of appetite, loss of sex drive, and the loss of relevance and potency. And I want to try and address that and maybe make you feel a bit better about yourself whilst trying to improve myself at the same time. I think the world is a better place for having you and me in it. And I think we owe it to ourselves and to the world and to our loved ones to make sure that we are living our most optimal lifestyle. But, and there is a big but, what I want to do is I want to break things down in the most average Joe way as possible. I am not an ex-professional anything. I'm actually a master of, I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none. I live a freelance existence, and I'm not a professional ex-athlete. So I can't talk to you like Jeff Cavalier or some of the other influencers on YouTube, because I'm not a massively muscular, overly ripped individual. I'm not Andrew Huberman either, or Dave Groggins, who walks and goes into monk mode and does all this kind of like crazy kind of like punishing training just to make sure that my mindset is correct. None of those things are relevant to me, and I can't relate to them. And I'm sure you've watched these videos and then got pretty bored of them as well. Well, What I want to do is I want to share with you the things that I have picked up and learned and got better at in the 51 years that I've been alive. But I also want to share with you the insights from the experts that I will be breaking down into more bite-sized and actionable chunks, so I can do them as an average Joe who has a 9-to-5 job and still needs to do other things for a living other than talking to the camera. And I want to be able to do this so you can be inspired and do it yourself as well. And hopefully there'll be something in this that you like. So that's me. I'm running out of things to say. If you like the idea of Mengevity, then please do stick around. This is the obligatory place for me to say, give the channel a thumbs up and maybe even a subscribe. A thumbs up, I think at the moment, is even more important, and it'll just help to grow the channel and keep the algorithm going. I've got lots of things planned for this channel and lots of things to discuss, and I hope that you'll join me on my journey as we get Mengevity off the ground to just make you feel and live just a little bit better. Thank you for watching.